So my first ever show was an evening with Barham with Wigan, and it was unbelievable. You know what I mean? It was a massive thing for me. I was even welling up when I was doing a little speech and that because it just meant so much. You know what I mean? I'd retired. I was still a bit raw from retiring from a fight. It was only a few months after. You know what I mean? And obviously Barham Wigan, I think he retired the same age as me, the same amount of wins I think he had when I looked at his career, and it was just funny how it turned out.
Yes, welcome to the 13th and final round podcast. And today
we have a special guest here.
Yes, we do. We have Carl, the cool one, Greaves in the house. Yeah. Carl, how are we doing?
I'm good, John. Thank you.
Nice little setup you've got here. How long have you been in this building now?
I've been here about 16 months in this actual gym. I
remember you opening it.
16 months. I had Johnny Nelson down. He come and opened it. Top guy. It was absolutely packed. You know what I mean? Absolutely packed. I like to think they all come down for the opening day. I think most of them come down to meet Johnny. But it was fantastic.
Johnny's a cool guy, and he's got he's always got time for people, Johnny.
So what have you got? Is it amateur or pro? Is it a mixture?
Yeah, no, it's a pro gym. That's the whole intention of the gym. It's a pro gym, but obviously to keep things afloat, I do. I've turned it into like a fitness health club as well. I do boxing circuit, strength conditioning, box fit for ladies. I've got 2 amateur clubs renting off me as well now.
Awesome.
I've got a football academy that we train, so it's going really well. And obviously, in the meantime, when I took this on, I was subleasing from Anytime Fitness, who's got next door, which is all connected. This was their space that they wasn't using. And basically, they went under, and the landlord said to me, look, because you're involved in on Anytime Fitness's lease, we could evict you. And I spent so much money on this gym to get it look like this. I had really no choice but to take next door on as well, and I've gone for it. And it's been very difficult, taking an health club on to run alongside the boxing gym. It's been very tough, but we're getting more members in there every day. It's picking up all the time, and I'm starting to really pleased with what's happening there. Fantastic setup, and get loads of kids down there, taking kids off the streets, and they're really enjoying it.
It's all about
so
that.
Have you changed it, like the outlay of the next door and put different classes on, and what have you done?
No, basically, so that's just a separate business altogether. That's NG24 Fitness. Obviously, this is Carl Greaves Boxing and Fitness Gym. So it's a separate business. Obviously, I'm the owner of both. But I just wanted to keep them separate. You know what I mean? I wanted to keep it separate. We've got different entrances now as well. I mean, you can come through the same entrance, but the NG24 entrance. But we've got the different entrance for the boxing, and it just keeps the traffic away from an health club, because, like I say, that's different grading compared to running a boxing club. You've got to look after your clients. It's all a membership thing, and that's what it is, really.
You don't have a Tom, Dick and Harry just coming in.
No, it's a lovely gym in there. Really pleased.
It's a nice space as well, and you've got loads of room to work out. How many fighters you got right now on the books?
I manage about 35. I think the most I've ever had is over 50. But that's a bit too many. I had about 10, 15 really good journeymen back in the day. But they're few and far between now. We ain't got the proper journeyman like there was a few years ago. They're dying a death, to be honest with you. And I think that's more because we're trying to push for more 50-50 fights. You know what I mean? We want to give the punchers value for money. We want to be going in there not knowing who's going to win. You know what I mean? We're trying to.
Fair enough.
We're trying to push it that way as a promoter to give the customers the value for money, and going in there having competitive fights. It's still not easy because you've got to build kids up. You want to build them up and to get them somewhere. You just don't want to chuck them in deep too early. But saying that, they are moving a lot faster now than they did back in the day. say.
Yeah. Would you say that, like, because there's a lot of changes in boxing, you know, social media has changed a lot on it. You've got the misfits thing coming up where it's people just can't box. Then you've got crossover athletes, like MMA guys coming into it. And then it's just a lot of different directions to think about going in now, isn't it? Tommy Fury's earning more money than some of the champions out there.
Yeah. It's sad, really. I mean, you've got these fighters that's been in the game for years, it's never really going to earn any money. And then they see these kids that's got a big social media following, big names, whether it's from the background of the families or just got a big name through themselves and that from social media, and they're earning thousands on this misfits boxing now. And listen, it ain't great for...
You know, one of my I think it's good in a good way and bad in a bad way for boxing.
So I play devil's advocate because, up until COVID, I'd built up my nutrition business and my personal trainer business in a gym, and I was earning about 9k a month. I was doing well, right? And then COVID hits and I get sent behind closed doors and I lose everything, and then everyone says you need to move online. So I thought, why would anyone be interested in me training them over Zoom? I'd just be bored of that. But it wasn't that. So I got a mentor. He showed me how to build my app, build my own website, know how to do lighting, all these type of things. You was watching me starting out, weren't you? And all of a sudden, I'm up to 200,000 followers, and I'm growing and everything's an autopilot, and I'm getting clients, and I'm not even having to talk to them. I'm sat here right now, and I'm getting paid because it's just in the app store, just
fantastic,
doing all that, right? And then I realised the power of social media. So playing devil's advocate, because there's a lot of what I like to call boxing snobbery, right? So people are used to being told how something is, right? So boxing's this. You come at the amateurs, you get a manager,
that's right,
pay him 15% or 10% or whatever you agree. Then you get promoted and you pay a load more. Then you get a nutritionist. You got all these things. Before you know it, the fighter's moaning he's only getting 20%, right? And then YouTube guys come along and say, I don't like that system. I'll promote myself and I'll manage myself and I'll train and I'll get a lawyer and I'll get a trainer and I'll take 70%. And this is where Mayweather's rubbing shoulders with that kind of social media area. Because I always say about Floyd, that people think that I don't like him. I do like him, but I do realise that his style of fighting in the 80s, when it was word of mouth, wouldn't get him to where he's at now, because even though our skill for years, it was knockouts on it, word of mouth, right? So what's your take on this fighters being able to open a social media, promote themselves? Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
There's a lot of Instagram fighters out there, what I call Instagram fighters, that I don't think have got any ambition, don't really want to go anywhere, but they're promoting themselves because they want to look good for the social media and for the fans, for the friends and what have you. But as soon as you offer them a decent fight to go in a proper fight, they don't want to know, they shy away. And that just goes to tell you they've got no ambition. They're doing it for the wrong reasons, really. And in boxing, you can't be boxing for the wrong reasons, because it's a tough game. But they're not daft. They know that as soon as you offer them a decent fight, they're going to shy away from it and try and pad the record out as much as possible. But like I said earlier, it's getting harder and harder to pad records out now, because promoters and obviously the punters are demanding proper fights. So there's only so far you can build a kid up. I mean, even if you've got a kid that's selling bundles and bundles of tickets, there's only so far you can take him without having to step him up faster than you want to do, really, because the public's demanding that. And it's only right, really. You can understand what they're saying. You don't want to be going into a show knowing that the left-hand side is going to win every single fight. You know what I mean? You want to be going in there knowing, thinking, you know what, that's a 50-50 fight. And then if they're enjoying the show, they're going to think, well, Carl Greaves puts on a good show. He's putting on some good 50-50 fights. Let's go back to that. Let's watch that. That's what it's all about. And you can see now the way boxing's going, and obviously with the TV shows and that, they're demanding these fights now. And listen, so they should, you know what I mean? But it is more difficult for a small promoter now to build a fighter up, for sure.
So when's your next show coming up? You can promote that?
Yeah, I've got March the 2nd, Leicester Arena, Morningside Arena.
Amateur pro, is it amateur pro?
Pro, yeah. I'm not involved with the amateurs. I've got amateur clubs down here, but they only rent the gym from me, the space and that. I haven't got time. I've never ever been involved in amateur boxing. So the day I left professional boxing, retired as a fighter, I was straight into the pro scene.
So didn't like going away with us? Me and used to go to Jersey.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that's a great memory. Yeah,
I've heard all about it.
Yeah, 1993, I think, 92,
best time of
93.
our life, mate.
Yeah, so
a weekend.
Yeah, so obviously it was North of England versus American All Stars.
Yeah.
And I am like quite north compared to you guys. You know what I mean? So I remember getting the call off me amateur coach Dick Dorman saying that you've been selected to box for the North of England.
Yeah.
You've got to get to Sheffield. I was 17-year-old. I had a mini metro. I'd never been on the M1 in my life. And I was driving down, chucking it down with rain. And is it Bob? What was his name?
Bob. I know you're talking about
Bob.
glasses.
Yeah, Bob was the organizer. He had Parsons Cross, didn't he?
Parsons Cross.
Oh yeah, I know you're on about. Yeah, I know you're on about.
Yeah,
Ted Pete.
Ted Pete.
I know,
Louverlite, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway, I got down there, and obviously I was like, you know what I mean, like. Didn't know anybody. You lot all knew each other because you were from down that way. Yeah, I went down there. We mixed in. What a great experience for me.
Tell.
Yeah.
But he says he hadn't had a time like that since. He wants to do it again.
No, I'll tell my story.
Tell the story.
Yeah,
it's a weekend, so we get there on a Friday.
So we goes on this plane to Jersey, it was on the back end. All you could hear is the propellers going around. You know what I mean?
Was that little plane?
We gets there, and obviously Stevie Ballard, I can't remember
Stevie Alan Page.
Alan Page. There was a few. It was good times, and I can't remember a few of the other names now, but anyway, I'll always remember you, Dom. Always.
What was it like?
Yeah, I can always remember. I tell you what, I remember about you. You covered yourself in Vaseline
all the time. Yeah.
Remember, I always remember going to your room.
I still do that.
Going in your room and you covered to keep yourself warm and that. And I was like, wow.
Is that why you were doing it?
So basically, it keeps you warm.
When you go outside, innit?
Yeah. So we went down there and
funny guy.
I think we boxed American All Stars, and I was up against the team captain, Richie Maisonette, his name was. And a few were saying to me, "You've got your work cut out with this kid, this Richie Maisonette. Every year he comes over, he bashes one of the English kids up." I thought, oh no.
Well, why?
No,
you missed one out. Why did you tell him what did you do the night before?
Yeah, so the night.
He might not want to tell that story.
No, I'll tell the story, and you probably won't remember. But we go. So we're all there, and I think we'd weighed in the day before.
The day before, weighed in. That's we go out.
Yeah, so we all went out after, went around a few bars and all that.
We run things.
And I never touched a drink at all back then, and we was all out. And next minute they're all ordering pints of Guinness and all that. I'd never had a Guinness in my life, you know what I mean? I was like, wow, but I was like just making out, I was drinking mine, sipping it. These was all at a party Guinness.
I didn't drink, John. I didn't drink. I kept it sweet.
And Stevie Ball went, oh yeah, it's full of iron and all that. Anyway, they'd all had a drink. You didn't touch none, either, did you?
You still don't drink?
No, I don't.
Yeah, me and you didn't touch it. And anyway, I think we won 7-2, but I got beat on a majority. I think I was the only one out of the thing who never had a drink and got beat. But that Richie Maisonette was an handful, but I lost on a split. I get him a right fight. I watch it back now, and he couldn't split us, you know what I mean?
Tough
I got it transferred onto it, the cracking fight. Emery Cooper was there, he was guest.
Wow, really?
And Duke McKenzie. But fantastic experience. And I went over again. I went over again to box against Scotland. And I had a chest infection and had to pull out on the day. I wasn't very well.
He was in his room.
So
I stopped my phone.
Yeah, fantastic experience, and I'll always remember that well. But that's the days I've always remembered you, Don, all them years ago. You know what I mean? Then I seen you turn pro, and you done very, very well. So
Thank you.
What is it? The Black Gladiator.
Dark Gladiator. You see these guys when they always get the name wrong. They know my name really. You know, just winding me up. Dark Gladiator, a bit different. Anyway, listen. I want to know about you from the beginning. How you were born and where you're from, your family background,
in your hometown right
boxing.
now.
I want to know about you.
So
you, the person, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, so I'm Newark born and bred.
Yeah.
Lived in Newark all my life. From a council background.
Yeah.
Mum and dad never had a lot. My mum met my dad at 16, got married at 18, had me at nearly 20, had my sister at 24, was divorced at 27,
Wow.
and I had a stepdad. He was the one that really got me into boxing. He was the one that really got me into boxing. I never had it easy as a kid, but listen, not many boxers have had it easy. You know what I mean? We've all had it hard. We've all got a story to tell. I've seen things that you wouldn't want your kids to see now, and it's just part of growing up, part of life. But it's made me who I am today. You know what I mean? I've not been fed with a silver spoon. I've had it tough. I've had to fight my way to where I've got today. And I always say to them, if anyone ever, like, you know what I mean, resents me for what I've got now and pulls me down, then you're the wrong person. You know what I mean? Because I have really worked hard to where I've got. I've had nothing given me. I've always been a grafter. I've always had my head on my shoulders. I'm not academically clever, but I've got my head screwed on. You know what I mean? So
that comes across though. That comes across though, because everyone we touch base with, and I mean everyone, we all know the same people. Always say that about you.
But it's the drive, I think. Always, you know what I mean?
I've always had manners. I've always had respect for people. I always know how to talk to people. I always know how to treat people, and that's a big part of me.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
And that's what helps.
I would never ever change. You know what I mean? Whether I had a tenner in the bank or I had £1 million in the bank. You know what I mean? I am who I am, and that's how I've always been, and that's why I like to know that I'm well respected and well liked because of who I am. I've never changed, and I never will. So so obviously back to how it all started. My stepdad was into boxing, and he knew the amateur coach Dick Dormley. Dick Dormley was working on the stations. I think he was a T-boy actually on the stations, and then my stepdad knew I was into boxing, and it all come through the local working men's club in 1985 when I was in there, and I was in the back room, the snooker room, and the old tellies was on there. BBC One, Barry McGuigan versus Pedrosa for the world title, 1985. Loftus Road. I'd never forget. I was mesmerised. I was just you know what I mean? Obviously, look, I know the figures that watched that. 16 million people watched that fight.
Back then as well.
And McGuigan, like his style and everything, I watched him and I just loved it. And since I watched that fight, obviously, I told my stepdad, I got a big, massive poster of Barry McGuigan in my bedroom. I got one of Sylvester Stallone, Rocky. I watched all the Rocky films.
We all have.
And that's how it all started, really. And then obviously I got my stepdad introduced me to Dick Dormley. I went up there. It was at the Greaves Sports Centre, the boxing club was then. I biked up there as a 9-year-old and introduced myself. Said Woody sent me up, who you work with, Dick, and he said, you don't mind me coming tonight? He said, you can come tonight, have a look. Don't mind you doing a bit of training and all that. He said, but we don't really take kids on till they're 11 because it was only a small gym, and you couldn't box then until you was 11. I was 9. So I went up there, really enjoyed it, but I was absolutely gutted when he said, look, you can't really come back until you're 11.
What did you do?
So basically what I did was I went home and I set a little ring up in the back garden and got my step to buy me a punch bag, and used to get my friends round, and we used to so I just stuck at it for 18 months, and I just couldn't wait till the day I was old enough to go to the club. So I was at school one day, Lovers Lane, the primary school, and I was 11 years old, and as soon as I turned 11, I said to a couple of mates, do you want to go boxing? And they says, we'll go. So he'd moved premises by now. He'd moved to Elm Avenue, RHP it was called, RHP ABC, whereas before it was Boulderton ABC. And I went up there, and I never forget, as long as I live, I went in there, just got to the door, running in there, bouncing around, absolutely buzzing that I was in a boxing club. And Dick's son Mark, he said, oi, get to that door now, show a bit of respect. He said, you don't just come in here jumping about and that, you know what I mean? You come in, you pay your subs, you tell him your name. Obviously they probably won't remember who I was from when I was 9. Anyway, went in, trained that night. I stuck at it. My mates never ever come back, and the rest is history. I mean, I was there. I was always talented. I mean, mean, I'm a left-handed orthodox.
Right, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember
I am
that, actually.
ambidextrous.
Yeah.
I am ambidextrous. I write with my left.
Yeah.
But like, I do a lot of things with my right. I hold a racket in my right. I play snooker with my right. Brush my teeth with my right. I throw darts with my left. Arm wrestle with my left.
I'm like you.
I'm strange, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
I'm like you.
I could never ever box southpaw ever. I've never really tried, but my right jab feels weak as piss, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had a cracking left hand, a lovely left hand, good jab, good left hook, good left hook to the body, but my right hand was piss poor, you know what I mean? So I developed that and always stayed orthodox. And like I say, I always had talent, but I lacked a little bit of confidence, which a lot of kids do.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it wasn't really, I had like a 50-50 amateur record up until I was 15.
How many do you have?
Yeah, I had 70
Oh,
in the end.
Yeah, fair number.
So when I was 15, I went in the junior ABA championships, and I boxed 2 kids in the first round of it on the same night. One had already lost and one had never boxed before, and it was a knots and links. There was 4 of us entered, only one of us could go through.
So when
back
I tossed
then.
the coin, right? Who went last? Who boxed twice?
So 2 of us boxed twice. There was 4 of us,
all right,
and then we boxed in the final the same night. You didn't like have a fight and then take it through to the next stage back then. Only one could go through, and I won that, and my confidence just grew and grew and grew. And then I got to the middle and finals, won that. Next minute I'm in the national quarters, won that. National semis, won that. And I got to the finals that year of the junior ABAs and lost to a kid called Benny May, who was like a London Idol. You know what I mean? There was a program called Teenage Diaries back in the day, I don't know if you can remember it. And they did one on him, and I can remember it just finished where it showed him going all the way through to the finals, and it said opponent to be confirmed. But that opponent ended up being me. It was unbelievable. So I got there and I lost in the final, and that next minute I'm getting a letter through the door, obviously invited to box for Young England. So next minute I'm going to Crystal Palace on my own on the train, and obviously meeting up with James there, Mark Payne, Lee Edel, Carl Wall. Unbelievable days, you know what I mean? Going there on my own as a 15-year-old woman with my bag, and just all part of learning and growing up, you know what I mean? I did it all on my own back. Never had parents behind me, no one pushing me to go to the gym. Something I wanted to do. And anyway, did well as an amateur, got to the junior ABA finals, national semis twice, represented Young England, never actually boxed for Young England, but was on the squad. And then as a senior, so then it was going from like a 50-50 record to like probably 12 fights in a season, winning 10, losing 2, you know what I mean? And then I got to senior level, went in the ABAs, and kept coming up against a guy called Craig Spacey. I don't know if you remember Craig. Very good fighter. Very good junior. Was European champion. I boxed him 3 times. Never beat him once. Lost on a split once in the ABAs. And anyway, 19 years old. Been in the ABAs twice. Lost to Craig Spacey both times in the middle and final. And then I got introduced to a guy called John Ashton.
John Ashton.
I ended up with an amateur record of 71-48, so it was a decent record. And then ended up meeting a guy called John Ashton who was promoting out of Kirkby in Ashford, a good fighter, British Commonwealth European title challenger, Midlands area champion. He boxed Bomber Graham for the British title, Richard Woodall for the Commonwealth. And then we hit it off like an ass on fire, you know what I mean? And I signed pro forms in February 1996. And made my pro debut March the 22nd, 1996 at Mansfield Leisure Centre.
Who did you start out with as a pro trainer? Who was your first?
So back then John used to base us all at Body and Soul Gym in Mansfield. And there was a couple of guys there. One was a Polish guy, an old fella called Alec. He sadly passed away. John used to come in and do a bit with us, but the stable was like Roger Brotherhood, Godfrey Goddard, Steve Rocky Shelley, Stevie Williams, the boxing jockey, Tony Darling. We had a good stable over there, you know what I mean? And but I was getting good sparring and all that because we was getting people in, but I wasn't really benefiting, you know what I mean? And then
development,
and then I got introduced. John Ashley introduced me to Howard Rainey. I had a couple of years with Howard Rainey, and I learned. I mean, obviously, it was all at the funeral. God bless him. He was a great guy, and technically, Howard taught me more than anybody I've ever been taught by. You know what I mean?
So you two was together.
Yeah, we was in the same gym.
He
used to. I used to be finishing when he came in.
Yeah.
All right.
Howard was quite selective with. So Howard would treat it like a 9 to 5 job. So your slot's 10 till 12. Your slot's 12 to 2. Yeah, and then he'd have 2 or 3 in at a time. Did you realise he did that?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, I think so.
He was there all day.
So he never sparred you two.
Yeah,
I think we sparred. No, we sparred once.
Yeah,
we sparred.
He's got a better memory than me. He never had as many fights.
He was tall.
We sparred once, but I was 10 stone and a lot taller.
10 stone, skinny and tall, wasn't he? A lot lanky.
There was a good kid, I think his name was Richard, amateur kid. I don't know if he ever did anything, but he used to stand me on my head.
Richard.
I remember him. I think it was Richard.
I remember seeing you spar against him.
But I used to like a tear up, you know what I mean?
You used to go in the second ring.
But I tell you what, the Sheffield style was a little bit different to me. I mean, because obviously it was more elusive, switch hitting and all that. And I used to struggle a little bit with it. You know what I mean? I was happy when kids just stood in front of me and had a fight, you know what I mean? So it was good for me going down there, because obviously I never had my own way. You know what I mean? And I learned a lot. And I used to go in there, and I was used to like graft in the gym, going in there, coming out absolutely wringing wet. And sometimes I used to travel all the way from Newark to Sheffield. And I never used to really even get a sweat on me, Howard. And I used to think, this didn't feel right.
I know what you mean.
But then I used to say to him, Howard, I don't feel like I've benefited from having a session. He said, listen, you do your hard work on the track, you know what I mean? Let's get you in on Don Valley, that'll get you fit. You're coming here to learn. You're coming here to learn. And technically, like you say, I learned so much from him. Wow. Some of his methods and his ways was a little bit unorthodox and very strange, but looking back now, I mean, he knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? And
he was ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time. Even me as a sports scientist now, thinking of some of the things I do now, a lot of the way I teach is from Howard. So being at the Ingles, I'll say this to people who would at the Ingles with me, and it's no disrespect to Brendan Ingle because he's a great trainer, but Howard was a different level.
Could he show you how to fight inside as well as
everything? Howard would look at you as an individual. So he's like, you hit hard, so we're going to work on speed. You're fast, we're going to work on power. Your footwork is too wide, we're going to shorten your
That's what I liked about Howard. He used to get you rotating, twisting your shots in, turning them over properly and all that. I never ever lost with Howard, you know what I mean? I never ever lost with Howard in my corner, but it was only because of the travelling and that. It was getting too much for me. I mean, when I had fights and that, I did stay at his house with the family and Lorna, and they welcomed me in, which was lovely. And me and Terry Dunstan become good friends. And he used to call me the young Spice Boy. He did, you know what I mean? Who was this? He said, we've got the new Ryan Roach in the gym, you know what I mean?
Spice Boy.
And I looked up to him all. It was a big thing for me, because you got to remember, I'm like the king in the gym, doing like always never had any top level pros around. You know what I mean? And the next minute I'm going from there, and you're training with the likes of Clinton Woods, Terry Dunstan, and guys like that. You know what I mean? It was fantastic, and used to get a lot of kids over for sparring and that, and great memories.
Nice. So let us know how the pro career progressed.
So I started off my pro debut against a kid called Paul Hamilton. He'd had 8 won 4 lost 4. He was a world Thai boxing champion. It was a tough debut, really.
Just get going forward.
And he was strong and tough. And I can't ever remember weighing in on them early fights. You shouldn't be saying it now, because I don't want to get people in trouble. But we used to just turn up, and I used to look at him thinking, God, he's never my weight. I think it was the day. It was the days when you used to weigh in your gym with an inspector there, but I think a few words in their ears, you know what I mean, and used to just put anything down. But listen, them days are gone now, thankfully. You know what I mean? Because it's a dangerous sport. But I remember boxing Paul. I'd done a bundle of tickets. A great night, March the 22nd, 1996, and it was a close fight. I won the first 3 rounds easy, and then obviously being my pro debut, him having 8 pro fights, he was a little bit more experienced. He started like closing the gap a little bit more from round 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Going into the 6th, he'd won the 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
Going into the 6th, you know what I mean? He was edging that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I dropped him with about 10 seconds to go, which got me the fight by the old half a point, you know what I mean? Back then it was the half a point. God, you feel old, don't you, talking about half a point, 96. So yeah, then I won 6 on the spin.
Yeah.
Looking really strong, going really well. On my 5th fight, I boxed Danny Rueg, the Western Era champion, on Errol Bomber Graham's comeback at the Concord Leisure Centre.
Who did he fight at?
Oh God, I can't remember. The poster will be in here somewhere. You know what I mean?
He ended up getting beat by Charles Brewer in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, he had a comeback. Then he boxed. So that was a great experience for me, boxing on his comeback. Yeah. And then he had a bad spell. I lost 4 of my next 6.
Yeah.
Lost my 7th fight to Lee Armstrong. Lost my 7th fight to Lee Armstrong. And dropped him the first round, went in there to finish him. After I dropped him, went in to finish him. Next minute, I'm on my arse. The first time I'd ever been put down. And it was one of them knockdowns that I'll never forget. It just went black, you know what I mean? The bells ringing in my ears, and I'm like, wow. So obviously, back then, if you got up at, they didn't give you the mandatory 8, so if you got up at 3, you boxed on at 3. If you got up at 3 now, they would count you to 8 and then box on. So I jumped up because I'd never been down, didn't know where I was. Well, I didn't even know, to be honest. I just got up. You know what I mean? Instinct. And then next minute, it's steaming into me, and I saw the round through. And anyway, it was just non-stop brawling for 3 more rounds. In the 4th round, I was just taking too much. And the referee, Paul Thomas, who was no longer with us either, from Derby, he just basically grabbed me, hugged me, and said, "That's enough, son, that's enough." You know what I mean? He said, "That's enough." But it was all down to weight, you know what I mean? I was trying to make weights that I shouldn't have done.
9'4", you were getting down to 9'4"?
Yeah, but listen, I was trying to get down to super bantam for these days.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
What do you do?
And I was just drying out, trading in bin bags and sweatsuits, we all did back then. But these days, if I see a kid in a sweatsuit and that, because I know that they're just absolutely a waste of time unless you're taking the weight off and keeping it off for a weigh-in. If you're trading in sweatsuits and that, as soon as you go out of the gym and have a drink, it's back on you. You know what I mean? It's a load of rubbish. But back then, I was never told no different. That was the way we used to do it. You know what I mean? Never used to drink enough water and all that. And I always remember I was the only coach who used to say to me, "Cole, you're not drinking enough water, drink more water." Because I've always been told that if I drink too much water, I'm never going to lose it. You know what I mean? I never used to listen to him, and I regret that, because that's one thing I should have done. And anyway, I got beat, and then I lost 4 of my next 6, and I was on the road to nowhere, really. On my 12th fight, I boxed for the Midlands area title. I'd gone from like 6-2, 6-3s to going straight to 10-3s against a guy called Irvin Blake from Birmingham. And Irvin was like a bit of a 50-50 kid. Went on the road, boxed in the home corner, been in with all the top lads, very, very experienced. And I boxed him on a Pat Cardell show, Birmingham, Holiday Inn, on a dinner show. And what a fight. I mean, I won the first 6 rounds. I thought I did anyway. He come back into it again. Last round was toe-to-toe. And I can remember it was just a bloodbath. I had white shorts on. My shorts was pink. You know what I mean? I had a fractured nose. I had a split lip, looked like Panda the next day. My eyes all black. I gave him like about 12 stitches. It was just unbelievable. One of them Nobbins fights where the crowd chucked all money into the ring. You know what I mean? And the trainers was there scrambling it all, and at the end of it, probably about 50 quid splitting it with us. But so I lost that fight on half a point, 98 and a half to 98. like one round. But I tell you what, I learned so much in that fight. And then I regrouped, and then just went on a winning run. Then never lost for 3 years.
So like now, what you implement in your gym now is your experience, what you've been through, haven't you? Like the pain you've been through.
Transferable. It's transferable skills.
And that's what you said.
Some of the best trainers, some of the best managers, some of the best promoters. Look, Alex Ferguson, look at Jose Dominion in football. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you have to go through something to help others. To know what I mean?
Definitely. You have to go through that process to understand it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And, and this is what I was saying. And sometimes you don't lose, you learn. You know what I mean?
I like that. I say
the big
that a lot.
thing. You don't lose, you learn. And I learned a lot from them defeats. I mean, I didn't learn enough after getting beat on my first fight, because I should have just listened to my body and let my body grow and move in. But then I finally went up to back to super featherweight, where I started off as a pro, and then that's when I lost to Irving Blake for the Midlands area super featherweight title. And then I went on a 12-fight winning run. Never got beat for 3 years. I'd never ever been on a TV show. John Ashton was working with Matchroom by now and doing a few shows with Barry Earn. Barry Earn was putting shows on the Mansfield Leisure Centre with the likes of Richie Evans, Steve Robinson, building them up when Robinson won the world title, and great times. And I remember it was about Harper State, and I was on the bill, and obviously Eurosport finished at 9 o'clock, and it were all down to Richie Evans whether I got on Eurosport or not. And there was about 5 minutes to go before they shut the air off. I think it was about 20 to 9. And anyway, Richie Evans stopped the kid. Next minute, John Ashton's running in the change room. You're on live on Eurosport. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. You know what I mean? And I boxed a kid called Gary Burrell, who was a tough Scottish kid, tough journeyman, who'd won about 15, lost about 30. You know what I mean? One of them, but never really gets stopped. I can never forget John saying as I'm walking out, he said, look, Carl, don't try and knock this kid out tonight. He said, just box nice. He said, get the win, happy days, and let's move on. You know what I mean? And this was about, I don't know, 3 or 4 fights after I'd come off them bad patches. I'd done a little bit of a winning run, and I went out there and knocked him out in the 4th round. It was a left. So basically, I hit him with a straight 1-2. He come charging at me to retaliate with a 1-2, and I just stepped back, counter left up, flattened him, and Matchroom brought out a video, 101 greatest knockouts. It's old, but it still gets seen today around the places in Benidorm.
I've
won it as well. I won it. Yes, I won my first fight.
I have seen it.
So I'm on that, and it still gets placed there. And what a great win.
You need to have it on loop over there.
And like I say again, my confidence went up again. And then 1999, I fought for the British Masters title. I was the first person ever to fight for the British Masters title.
Masters.
I call it. I call it.
But listen, you know, for kids that really never had a TV promoter behind them and all that, it was a nice bout. You know what I mean? It was good for us. It was like an outside the top 10 bout. You know what I mean? And
did you ever get one?
No. I think I got a WBF belt. A WBF belt. It don't matter.
So I boxed. I was meant to fight Carlton McKenzie, which would have been a big step up for me. But he failed a scan. So I boxed Chris Chickles, dropped him early, and then went on to beat him on points. That was part of my winning run for 3 years. I think I had a couple more fights, and then I got the call to fight Michael Gomez for the British super featherweight title.
Well, I trained with Michael Gomez and Farnell. I used to spar him all the time. It's mental, isn't it?
So
how did he get on?
So I'd been and sparred Gomez with Howard. Taught me up to spar with Gomez. With Brian Hughes, and I held my own with him. I mean, this is sparring, isn't it? You know what I mean? Did really well. And that was a week, his last spar before he fought for the British title, when he knocked out Gary Fornell. And then I ended up being Gomez's first defence. Boxed Gomez and fought. Listen, ability-wise, I thought I was in the fight. I thought I'd do well. But you know what it was? Looking back now, it was experience. And you know, he was flying high, been on all the big bills. He had Frank Warren behind him. He was WBO Intercontinental Champion as well. And he was knocking them out. And then he was in with tough Mexicans and learning the hard way and coming through in good fights.
He had confidence there.
Yeah, I wasn't quite at that, you know what I mean, at that level.
Do you think it's the limelight what took over you?
You know what it was as well, Don?
The build-up.
Yeah, it was like I was getting like there's some newspaper ringing me for interviews, or Sky Sports calling me, and I was like a young kid really. I was 22, 23, and it was like it was a big thing, you know what I mean? And then I knackered up on the weight, you know what I mean? Didn't do the weight right, and just all experience, you know what I mean? And I was in the fight. I mean, I was losing, but I was in the fight, and there was 1 second to go in the second round. 2 minutes 59 seconds. He hits me with a left hook here around here. So I like, and then he went to throw another one, and I went to block it there, but he threw it up high and he hit me straight on the temple. And I've never. It's the only time ever. I had 109 fights, amateur and pro. I've been down 5 times in my whole career, but it was the only time I'd ever been knocked out. But I wasn't cold. I wasn't like cold, cold. My mind was telling me to get up. You know what I mean? But my body won't let me.
You know, you get in a temple. That's the worst part.
And I'm watching the video back now. It looks a bit frightening, really. You know what I mean? Because it looks like I was quite out of it. And anyway, got knocked out by Gomez. And after I was in quite a bad, not hospitalised or anything, but I had concussion in that. You know what I mean? And I can remember going back in the minibus back to the hotel in Liverpool, and just didn't feel right. You know what I mean?
Were you scared?
Concussion and that, a little bit, but I went to sleep and like just was out like that. You know what I mean? Woke up the next morning, and concussion's a scary thing. You know what I mean?
I remember in kickboxing, someone hit the heel around my temple.
And then so that was a big experience. And then it was a rebuilding procedure again. I had 6 fights, another 6 fights, 6 wins, and then I get a chance to fight another call to fight Alex Arthur for the British super featherweight title. This was big and all, big time. It was at the Telly West Arena. 11,000 Salah, Ricky Hatton and Joe Kawasaki were the top of the bills. I was chief support to them.
I remember the show.
I was the first fight live out, first one to be introduced live out at 8 o'clock on the night against Alex Arthur, who was 14-0 with 12 knockouts, Commonwealth Games gold medalist. The Oscar De La Hoya of British boxing, everyone was raving about him. And to be honest with you, I was in the fight. I was given as good as I got. And me and Alex are good friends now. And he always says to me, "Carl, I tell you, mate, I've not been hit as hard as with that left hook off anyone other than you." And he's been in some good fights. You know what I mean? And he has a lot of respect for me, a lot of respect for him. I had him over for a dinner for one of my shows, and we had a night out. Great guy, and we still keep in touch now. But big experience for me, that very good fight, and it's one probably the highlight of my career as a pro, because of the occasion and the bill that was on, and obviously live on Sky, and Ricky and Joe Kawasaki, and being around them at the weigh-in on fight week, and all that.
You appreciate that.
And
you know what I mean?
I was in the fight, and then I think the end of round 4, he found the breakthrough, a couple of body shots. But one thing I'm proud of in that fight, I never went down. You know what I mean? I took everything he got. I showed a lot of art and balls. You know what I mean? And just middle of round 6, the referee had seen enough. I wasn't really getting a pounding, but there was only going to be one winner. You know what I mean? And the referee just pulled it out.
You need to go home safe, right?
You have to.
So that was another great experience. You know what I mean?
Was there ever a moment after your boxing career, like, is there ever been a moment, like, because we like to ask fighters this, where you suffered from any kind of, when you think back on it now, low moods, mental health, depression, was there any of them? Because a lot of fighters go through
I mean, I used to listen, all fighters get depressed. I mean, going through a training camp, I mean, towards the end of my career, every training camp, this is my last fight, I can't keep putting myself and my body through this. But as soon as I'd boxed, I was like on the phone, when's my next fight? You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's the hardest sport in the world, but there's such a buzz, and once boxing was gone, it was like a big part of your life had gone, you know, a big hole had gone. And I think it's more of the routine and the lifestyle of being a boxer and the everyday way of life. That's what
it is. Purpose, doesn't it?
When you finish boxing, obviously, everyone's been through it. It's like going to work.
Wow.
So you lost your job.
Yeah.
So you're not getting up in the morning, going for your run, that routine. All right, man, when you're jogging on the road, everyone waving to you, but they stop waving at you. All that's gone.
It's like, because it gives you purpose, doesn't it? You've got a purpose.
Yeah. Friends have gone. Everyone's gone. Quiet.
How did you transition? Because so after you've done well, right? So like, there's a lot of guys don't do well after boxing. What was that transition like for you?
You see, I'm missing a bit out here. So back in 2001, I think it was a fight after the Gomez fight. I failed a routine brain scan. There was a change. And at the time there were 14 fighters from the British Boxing Board of Control that had a change in the scan. The most high profile one was Wayne McCullough. Anyway, it took me 10 months to get my license back. I didn't think I was going to get it back. And to be honest with you, I'd lost to Gomez, and I could say I'd fought for the British title. I was British Masters champion. I'd lost for the Midlands area. If my career had ended then, it would have been a travesty, you know what I mean? Because I was still building, you know what I mean? And all that part of that career was learning, in my, you know what I mean? Even though there was a few defeats, I'd learned a lot, you know what I mean? I mean, I'd lost four of my first 12, and then I lost 3 of my next 27. So anyway, in that meantime, I went and got my trainer's license. Set up a gym that's about literally 2 minutes down the road. And I was only 24 at this time. And I was training all my stable mates, doing a few of their corners.
Extra work,
Matt Gaylor was fighting on the shows, and Gary Beardsley. I did his corner when he boxed Matthew Furwell, beat Matthew Furwell on one of NSC shows.
Matthew,
I boxed him. Yes, I did.
He had 2 with him, but so then I got my license back, and then I had my big fights. But I always knew when boxing was over that I would stay involved, because it was just something that I had my head screwed on. I'd done a few shows with John Ashton, like even when I was fighting, the ones I was on, I was working with him behind the scenes, and getting sponsors in and selling tickets and all that, you know what I mean? So I knew what I was doing.
That's good in a way, that's good.
And then, so obviously after the Alex Arthur fight, I go on holiday. I go to Canary Islands, and I'm in a bar when my missus and my little daughter was only 2 at the time. She's 25 next month. So it was a long time ago. And Lee McAllister comes with me. I never had a clue who he was. And Lee McAllister. And he goes, I watched you box Alex Arthur, because obviously Alex Scottish and he's And he goes, I'm going to go pro. I'm going to go with Brendan Ingle and all that. And we got chatting that day. And then anyway, I come back, got back into training in the January, and John Ashton rings me and says, look, Carl, they're putting a big show on at Nottingham Ice Arena. Carl Froch, the class of 2000.
Is that when Junior fought?
Junior wasn't on that bill, no. I think Carl Froch boxed Michael Monaghan that day. There were Billy Kikorin, David Walker, all Ennis's guys. He says, you're local, and you know I'd do an heap of tickets. He said, we're going to try and get you some half decent on that show. Anyway, ended up getting the WBF World title fight, coming off a loss for the British title, going straight into a WBF World title fight. He said, we've got you a kid called Ben Odamati from Ghana. He'd had 13, won 11, knocked out 10, drew 1, lost 1. Drew with Eric Odamati, who just lost on points to Scott Harrison. So it was a decent opponent, you know what I mean? And like, anyway, like I say, I'd learned a lot from my defeats, and that. I went in there, and I tell you what, I boxed absolutely brilliant. Won on points, boxed to a game plan. And I wasn't training with Howard at the time. I was training with an amateur coach, Julian Brooks, who was a great coach, to be honest. Did a lot for me, and I always appreciate what he did for me, Julian. But he was never really bothered about getting his trainer's license. So John Ashton used to do my corner even when he wasn't training me. And John ran me. He said, "Look, Carl," he said, "I'm really sorry," he said, "but I'm actually on holiday at the time that show's on." He said, "I ain't going to be able to do your corner." He said, "Who would you like to do? Who do you want to do your corner? Because I know Joe ain't got his license and that." Howard Rainey. No other person. Howard Rainey. I tell you what, he come and what a great job he did. I got a really bad cut in the 6th round. I put a few photos out there actually.
Yeah, I remember it.
And he worked wonders on that cut, kept me in the fight, and I won the fight convincingly. Won it by around 6-7 rounds. You know what I mean? But WBF world champion. Listen, I know it ain't the biggest titles in the world. It's a minor world title. It was recognised by the board then.
You didn't win it, though. You was given one.
Listen, I didn't get a chance.
No.
I beat the person who won the WBF though.
But who was that? Pinder?
Pinder
beat Damon. I was supposed to box Damon.
Pinder boxed Damon on that bill.
Beat him and I thought, right.
That was the Billy Box. They had 2 fights,
and then John put me to fight Damon. So I'm there. I moved to Manchester, back to Manchester, my old gym, training for the Damon Hague fight. Looking at him, staring him out every time I go to Sheffield. That didn't happen. They give me Roddy Duran for the English.
Right.
Then Roddy already beating him already.
I remember him from Shrewsbury.
So I beat him.
So great night, and then you think your career is going to take off, but to be honest with you, it's probably the worst thing that happened to me really, because I wanted to be in decent fights, I wanted to defend it, but NEC did a 6-fight deal with me, but nothing was really happening, and I think it was going to cost him too much to be putting them sort of fights on, and I wasn't really one of his boys, you know what I mean? His boys was like Fortune and all them guys, Howard Eastwood. He had a great stable.
Spencer Oliver.
No, Spencer wasn't with him. David Walker.
He was with Jess, wasn't he?
Jess. Jess was working with NSA. But so it wasn't really happening for me. So I got on two of NSC's bills, but just low profile fights. Had a couple of wins, and then a year later, this is when Audley Harrison had won the Olympics, was pro, had a massive £1 million deal with BBC One, and I was looking and I see he would fight for the WBF heavyweight world title at Wembley Arena. So me getting my promoter's head on like I do, and all that, I looked at the situation and I thought, what a great opportunity that would be to make my first defence of the world WBF title. So I gets on the phone to John, and I said to John, John, can you see what you can do for me? Get me on that bill. He said, I'll see what I can do. Made a few calls. And Harry Holland was the guy behind matchmaking for Audley Harrison at the time. And he rang Harry Holland, and Harry said, look, we're looking at doing a deal with this Carl Johansson. He said, we'll let Carl defend, but it's got to be against Carl Johansson. I'd been following Carl's career because of the same name, same weight, watching him, looking at him in boxing news. He was based out in America. He was originally from Leeds.
Right. New Jersey, right?
Yeah, he was based out in America, So they offered me that fight, no hesitation, I took it. And but to be honest with you, I'd well outgrown the weight by then. I should have moved up. Took the fight, looked at him, and I thought, I'm going to smash you. But he was stocky and small. But I thought, I'm going to smash you. But how wrong was I? You know what I mean? I was £9 over the morning of the weigh-in. I was in and out of the bath for 6 hours. You know what I mean? It was bad. It was bad. Got to the fight. You know what I mean? Told me I was on at Harper State. Sold 3 busloads of tickets. They put me on at Harper 7. So my fans coming as the fight was ending.
Really?
And anyway, I got to round. He dropped me in the first. I was getting back into the fight. End of round 3. I'm on my stool. I'm sat there and I can see 3 of my trainer. You know what I mean? They had triple vision. You know what I mean?
Hit the one in the middle.
Hit the one in the middle. So anyway, I can honestly say I've never been a quitter, never bottled it. You know what I mean? For anyone I've been told to. But this one night, I had my second daughter with you any time then, and my mind wasn't there. You know what I mean?
Can I ask something? You know when you're in the fight, you're only getting pounded and seeing 3 visions. You never think back and think, wait a minute, this could be brain damage, what people are talking about in boxing. But you didn't think of that, did you? You just carried on.
No, I carried on. But when I got back on the stool, and you got to remember I'd failed a scan as well. I had all that to deal with, and my little girl, second daughter with you, and I misjudged the weight and misjudged the time. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Anyway, he pulled me out into the 3rd round. I thought my career was done then. To be truthful, I probably should have retired then, but I tried moving up in weight. I had a big history in Gibraltar. I'd been out there on training camps, and I mean, I'll be here all day if we go through how it all started in that. But a good friend of mine, Steve Noble, ended up setting up in business in Gibraltar.
Yeah.
I went out there to see him. He invited me over to one of the local amateur shows. I took to the place like a duck to water. Met the trainer, Ernest Victory, and they ended up putting a show on out there for me. So that ended up being my comeback fight in Gibraltar against Rakim Mingalayev, and so it was like a second, not really a comeback, but you know what I mean, I was going to call it a day after the Johansson fight, but I carried on, beat Rakim Mingalayev, and then I was on the rebuilding process on the chance to get another shot at the British. And to be honest with you, I had two of the hardest opponents ever for the British title. If it was looking at the British champion now, Reece Bellotti, I mean, you know what I mean, I'd be British champion, you know what I mean, but unfortunately I come up against two special fighters. So they had another comeback fight for me at the Grove Leisure Centre there, and ended up boxing Daniel Fall. Danny Fall. I beat Danny. He was in the fight early doors. He was awkward and tricky, but then I grind him down and got to him, like beat him wide on points. But and then I was then I got a call to fight for the final eliminator for the British title against Steve Chinnock. And then I got the dreaded call again, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day yesterday. Valentine's Day 2005. Robert Smith, sorry Carl, there's been another change in your scan, and it's quite a convincing change.
You knew it was that
and
time.
Then that was it. You know what I mean?
How old was you?
I was 28. 28, 29. That was in February. I'd have been 29 in June.
When you had that phone call, how did you feel?
I tell you what, my heart just sung, and I'll be honest with you, I was sobbing like a baby. You know what I mean? And but I had two daughters by now. I was, you know what I mean? I'd got married, and you know what I mean? And so that was it. That was it in my boxing career, and ended up with 39 fights, 32 wins, Midlands area champion, British Masters champion, two-time British title challenger against two of the best fighters British champions there's probably been. And then I went on to win the WBF world title, which great achievement. So I got three nice belts, and I'm here to tell the story. That's the main thing.
This lines up with so at the end of every episode we leave a question for the next guest, and Echo has left a question for you, which lines up with what you're saying. So his question to you, big shout out to Echo.
Top man, Echo is a top guy, man. He's done a lot of good sparring with a lot of my fighters, and great fighter.
Good guy, innit? Really good guy. His question to you is, looking back on your career, in hindsight, what would you do different?
There's a lot of things that are done different, you know what I mean? I think all fighters will say that. Probably gone away and based myself with a proper stable and proper camp, you know what I mean, and done that. Probably got a nutritionist on board, because I tried doing it all my way, you know what I mean, and obviously learn to get a bit more educated about how to make weight. But you know what? You can't really have any regrets, can you? You know what I mean? You've done what you can. You've all got ifs. There's always regrets. There's always ifs and buts, maybes. But your career turns out the way it was. I feel like, listen, I'm always going to say I underachieved. I probably didn't underachieve. I just was unlucky who I'd come up against for the British title. I'd love to be sat here saying I was British super featherweight champion. Unfortunately, it never happened. But listen, I've got to be proud of my career as a fighter, and I'm even prouder of what I've gone on to achieve after boxing, because that is really where I've probably made my name, to be honest with you.
What would you know, the things in your career, what would you take from your career, and how did you use them skills to transfer into what you're doing now?
I mean, because I've been there, done that. I mean, I think it's great for my fighters to listen and learn from what I'm telling them. You know what I mean? Because I still to this day, one thing I did, which is a regret, probably what Rekki was trying to say, is I overtrained. I didn't listen to my body.
We didn't know that.
Yeah, we all did it.
No, never got educated.
Yeah.
But I tell my fighters now, and I know for a fact that so many fighters overtrain.
Yeah.
Rest is so important, you know what I mean? You get these kids that go out there, they're just knocking the bollocks out of themselves every day. You know what I mean? Not resting. And I can see with fighters when they're in the gym, listen, son, you need a rest. You need to have a couple of days off. Whether they listen to me or not, I don't know. I like to think they do. But a few's come up to me now, you know what I mean? Especially I've got a kid called Stanley Stannard who's fighting for a title on my next show in Leicester. And he's a culprit for overtraining, but he's listened to me and he knows now that he has been overtraining. He's resting more, and I can see a big difference in his training. And that is a big part of fighters. I wish they'd just learn and listen that the overtrain. You know what I mean? You got to have the rest days. You know,
it's better to be under. So the work that I do with people through nutrition and strength and conditioning. So I like what you said there, because with the work what I do with the nutrition, because nutrition is the energy. It's like putting petrol in the car, isn't it? And then developing the S&C for them, which is going to complement their style of boxing. So there's 3 things that I tell them. We want recovery as number 1, because the only reason you exercise and eat a certain way is so your body can develop. Your body can't develop without recovery. So the recovery has to be the number 1, and then the nutrition, then the exercise. Now, what I say to them as well, it's better to be undertrained than overtrained.
Yeah, definitely.
Because come fight night, if you're overtrained, you can't
put it out yourself.
Exactly.
If you're undertrained, you can push it out yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's one thing I've been told as well. You know what I mean? And one thing I've learned.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Let's get to know him. We've got some of them questions. A little bit of fun now. We've got some questions for you.
Yeah? Right.
You go forward.
Right.
You go first, Steve.
Okay, the first question is, hold on, Cal. I'll write it down here. Okay, what's your favorite professional wrestler? It could be the WWF.
When you were a kid.
When you were a kid, Big Daddy or whatever, the English one.
Well, listen, as a kid, probably Giant Haystack.
Smelly Haystack.
Not Big Daddy.
Yeah, but my funny enough, my son is 10 years old. He's absolutely obsessed with wrestling.
Yeah, which one? The American wrestling?
Yeah, the WWE.
Got the figures and all that. Got by the week.
He's got everything. Yeah. And he's going to absolutely kill me because I forgot his name now. But we went to watch wrestling at Sheffield a few months ago, and he absolutely loved it. And he made, I can't believe I forgot the geezer's name, the wrestler's name. He's going to kill me for it.
What does it look like?
He's like blonde hair.
Hulk Hogan?
No, about.
That's a new one, isn't it?
That's a new one.
As soon as you say his name, I'll know it.
I wouldn't know anyway.
Is it Roden?
Yeah.
Roden, is it something Roden? Roden.
I know what you're trying to get.
His name.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's made this big poster.
Yeah.
And anyway, we go to the barriers where they're walking back after they've done the, I won't say a fight, but done the showbiz, entertainment. And he's coming out and he's like having pictures of a few people and all that. Yeah. So I get my son on my shoulders with this poster, and fair play to this wrestler. He's a big time name actually. I just can't think of his name. Yeah. He grabs him and I said, look, picture. So he takes a picture with him and he's got it up in his bedroom.
Wow.
And he signs this poster that he made. It's put up in his bedroom as well, but he's a big wrestling fan. And listen, it's not.
I'll get the name after and put at the bottom of the screen after.
Yeah.
So my question, So my question: what's your favorite Mike Tyson fight?
Oh God.
Too many.
I mean, he's had some great fights, Holyfield, Lennox Lewis. Yeah. But the one that sticks in my head is when he got beat by Buster Douglas. I mean, who would have thought that?
I know.
I can remember watching that, and I actually bought the video of that fight. It's probably somewhere at home.
Video? Did you get from the Daily Mirror? Did you get it free from Daily Mirror? Did you get one of them videos?
Bought a video, but who would have thought he'd have got beat? Buster Douglas.
I cried at that fight.
Unbelievable. I mean, he wasn't the Tyson and then he underestimated him, and he didn't prepare properly.
He didn't train,
and he got found out. But that was one that was sticking in my mind. Frank Bruno, listening to that fight on the radio as a kid, the first one, when Bruno hurts him, I think, didn't he? Was at the first round.
Bruno caught him with an uppercut.
I mean, great
Carpenter, wasn't it?
memories.
Harry Carpenter.
Great memories.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move away now from boxing. Sneakers or trainers? What do you call them?
Trainers.
Trainers or pumps?
What's your favourite ones? You got some 270s on.
I've got a few of these for the gym. I've got 4 or 5. I've got 4 or 5 pairs of these. And Mrs. bought me a pair for Christmas that I wear for best.
Have you got these ones yet?
And I don't know what they're called, to be honest.
You got these ones yet?
Yeah, the Jordans.
No, so they're 270s.
Yeah.
These are 270s Mars.
Are they?
Yeah. You need to get
got the Jordan sign, haven't you?
Yeah. It's back 27 Mars.
Nice. Yeah. Beautiful. I get through them like anything trainers.
Listen, let's see if it says something different here. What is your favourite TV show? You're going to say you don't watch TV now, right?
Well, I'll be honest with you. Movie actor, listen.
Don't say Denzel Washington.
I'll tell you what, the saddest film I've ever watched is The Champ.
Oh, man. Classic, mate. Classic, mate.
The first ever Rocky film was made in 1976, the year I was born. The Champ was 1976, the year I was born. And that's the saddest film God pardon me, sir.
Have you seen that,
watch
darling?
it now.
Champ.
Yeah.
We're going to watch that.
The Power of One, another great film.
That's
The Power of One.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman.
But my favourite actor, listen, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. Rocky's my.
I like trying to get in. I like to try and get into a few series and that, but you tell me the names of them and I've forgotten.
Breaking Bad.
Yeah, that was good. And Ozark. I watched the first one.
What about The Fighter?
Yeah, The Fighter.
That's
brilliant film. Yeah. The Warrior. What a great film.
Yeah. Is that the MMA one, isn't it?
Yeah. That was sad at the end, wasn't it? When the two brothers have to fight each other at the end. That was sad. Yeah.
Is
your question?
Okay. What's your favourite MMA fighter? If you're into that,
are you into MMA?
I'm not into MMA.
What, UFC?
Nah, not really into it.
No. Well, we'll leave that then. We'll leave that.
Not really into that.
Go to the next one.
We'll leave that then.
I watch it every now and again.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Your fashion era, flare pants. 76. So which is the best?
He's into tight clothes.
I like everyday wear. I'm a Stone Island man.
Stone Island
is my stuff.
Football.
I am a Forest season ticket holder.
Forest. Who were there?
I followed Forest all my life.
Yeah.
I was season ticket holder as a young lad. I've got a load of stories to tell about Forest. I was one that is amazing, really. 12 years old, we beat Queen's Park Rangers in the Littlewoods Cup 5-3.
Yeah, is that the Carling Cup now?
And there's Simod Cup, Carling Cup, something like that. Littlewoods Cup, sorry, Littlewoods Cup. And Lee Chapman got an hat-trick, and I ran on the pitch with some football cards. Next minute, I looked round, the old stadiums were on the pitch, and that was a time that Brian Clough was slapping everyone to get him off the pitch.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's how old, you know what I mean? When I was 12 years old, and I was a big Forest fan. I went when there was all standing. Had a little time out, and didn't go as often, and that when I was through the boxing and all that. And in the last few years, I've started going in and got a season ticket with me, my son, my brother-in-law Adi, and my nephew Jack. They're sat next to us, and you know what I mean. It's great. My lad's into it. Stone Island's my casual wear, and I do like to dress up when I go out. You know what I mean? I'm a bit of a.
What about CP company?
Got a few CPs, bits, Hugo. I'm a bit of a designer, man. I ain't got nothing that's not designer.
Why not? Why not?
Just how it is, you know what I mean?
Work hard, why not?
That's nice, man. You know what I mean?
My question. So, what? I'm not going to say that one. Let's see if it says something different, because everyone keeps saying the same. What's your favourite actor?
You said that.
Yeah, Sylvester Stallone.
Oh no, he said it. He said actor. We'll move on. He jumped to. He's telepathic. He's telepathic. Favourite boxing movie? See, he's jumped on. Telepathic. He's had a champ.
Sorry, lad. Sorry.
So, all right, we'll finish on this one. Favourite boxer of all time? Who's your idol?
Right. Barry McGuigan was my idol growing up. Met Barry. You know what? My first ever promotion, October 2005, was an evening with Barry McGuigan.
Wow, nice.
Because the story behind it was I retired from fighting, and it was crazy how it turned out. And I thought, you know what, I wanted my first ever show, if I'm going to promote, and it's going to be, because that's how I started out.
Yeah.
I didn't go straight into promoting fights. I did after dinner speaking. Brian McGuigan, I'd done Ricky Hatton, I'd done Nigel Benn, Steve Collins, Frank Bruno, Joe Kozaki, Roy Jones, Barrera. I've done them all.
So,
you know what I mean?
Can I ask you, how did you get them on? How did you get
into that?
Yeah, just contacts. You know what I mean? I contacted a few direct, and then I went through a few agents to get the others. Right. Charlie Hale, the compere, the MC, and that he gave me.
Oh yeah, Charlie Hale is on my Facebook actually.
Spencer Brown, who's manager of Tyson Fury now.
Yeah.
I work with him quite a bit. Okay. So I mean, I've got, you know what I mean.
It's networking.
Stories. Networking. So my first ever show was an evening with Barry McGuigan, and it was unbelievable. You know what I mean? It was a massive thing for me. I was even welling up when I was doing a little speech and that, because it just meant so much. You know what I mean? I'd retired. I was still a bit raw from retiring from a fight. It was only a few months after. You know what I mean? And obviously Barry McGuigan, I think he retired the same age as me. The same amount of wins I think he had when I looked at his career, and it was just funny how it turned out. But he was but I used to love the fighters like Julio Cesar Chavez and you know what I mean, and Paul Ocko Hodkinson and them sort of fighters, the ones that was proper fighters, I call them. You know what I mean? The ones that was in the pocket, had a tear up.
You like that, don't you?
I love that style.
I want to see Paul Hodgkinson fight Colin McMillan.
What did you see him? What did you see there? Where was the fight?
They didn't fight, but
it's on TV.
Unify.
Right. You liked it.
That was the sort of style that I worked on, and me when he used to announce my name, I used to kiss my left glove like that.
Left hook.
That was what I got off Paul Ocko Hodkinson. That's what he used to do, and it just stuck in my mind. And they were the sort of fighters I like. But modern day, I mean, obviously Ricky Hatton, become very good friends, me and Ricky Hatton, over the years, and done a couple of dinners with him, been on a few shows with him, spent a bit of time with him when when was out in Monte Carlo together. He had a fighter on. I had David, the first fight I was with David Avanesian, and so
we both spent a little bit of time.
We sparred him as well every day. Did his game, you know, drink
what
tea,
I love about Ricky is what you see it off camera.
He's cool. Down to earth. Down to earth, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Okay, I'm going to give you a last question.
Go for it.
Right? Your favourite knockout of all time?
That I've actually done,
what you've done or what you've seen.
Or what you've seen.
You know what? I'll just go on about my own career a little bit with knockouts. So, as an amateur, I've only ever put one lad down with a right hand, and that was in the amateurs. I had loads and loads of. I've had loads of lads on the floor with the left hook. I am quite a bit of a puncher with a left hook. You know what I mean? I've had 5 knockouts as a pro, all clean knockouts, all clean.
How long was the sleeping
for? Some was like out for 10 minutes. Believe it or not, a long time. A couple was in a bad way. But I haven't shown you it, but I'll show the highlight reel after this. You'll be like amazed.
We'll put it on the bottom. Can you get it? Can you get it to us? We'll put it on the bottom.
Amateur fights on the YouTube.
Not amateur.
No, pros.
I got my knockouts there,
right, okay.
and there was a couple of very, very good knockouts, and the wincing ones. You know what I mean? But as a pro, I mean, obviously, as sad as it is watching. I mean, the one when Julian Jackson knocked out Errol Graham. That was sickening, because he was on the road to becoming a world champion, and he was playing with him one, and then all of a sudden switched off. That shot come over out of the blue, and it were lights out. But there's been some devastating knockouts over the years, and obviously there's been that many. I can't think.
I think I was more devastated for Errol when he lost against Charles Brewer, because he was close again.
One of the most unluckiest ones, you know what I mean, not to win a world title, because he's been on the brink. But what a tough sport, you know what I mean? It's a tough sport. It's the hardest sport in the world, but you reap the rewards if you get any from it, you know what I mean? And you meet some great guys. We're sat here, we've all been in the boxing game, we've all had a go. And
good memories as well.
Great memories, and we're just sat here and we're here to tell the story, you know what I mean? I've been involved in a few travesties as well, which tragedies, as well, which is sad in boxing, but you know what I mean, it's what we go through. We all know the consequences and the dangers that happen, but we're all here and we're all here to tell the story.
But none of us will change it either.
Never, you'll never change.
You know, do you find it funny? You'll box an opponent, you'll smash him up in the ring, but when you meet, like from now, you're best of friends.
You know, when I see an ex-opponent and that, it's just
you like your close, you like
it's like it's so much respect. You know what I mean? And another thing in boxing, you probably not see someone for a year or two, and you just pick up from where you left off. It's like as if you've seen them every day. It's crazy, isn't it? It's a crazy world. You know what I mean?
I always say, they'll get sick of me hearing me say this, but I always say, where society is now could learn a lot from how we conduct ourselves in boxing.
Definitely.
You get them society in here, and then they go out different. Do you know what I mean?
They will go out different. That's why some parents send their kids and that to boxing to learn discipline. But it is a discipline sport. You come in the gym, you behave yourself. Or else you go out and don't get embarrassed.
Definitely.
I mean, are you strict in here with people?
You know what I'm strict with? Keeping the gym clean.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
my wife would love that.
That's what I do with my gym.
I love to keep. I've got to keep the gym. Look how tidy it is.
You have to.
It's tidy, but it's still got a little bit of.
And that's I'm even worse with the staff in there. You know what I mean? In the health club, mate, I'm even worse because that's like people in out there from 6 in the morning till 9 at night. You know,
it still feels like a boxing gym, like a little bit of sawdust. You know what I mean by sawdust?
The way you designed it.
Like, because a boxing gym needs to feel like a boxing gym. You go.
It's your vision now to put it together.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be in the training game for, but I'm going to go as long as I can. You know what I mean? I'm starting to get a few niggles now. My shoulder's not good, and I'm struggling to take the pads a bit. I need an injection in it, and it's just wear and tear over the years. But I mean, one thing I'm proud of. I started off with nothing. You know what I mean? And I've had every single champion from area level through to world champion. You know what I mean? Whether it's as a trainer, manager, or a promoter, which I'm very, very proud of. You know what I mean? I've been involved in some big fights. I've done 155 shows as a promoter since 2007. All off my own back, no backing, no TV, and I'm very proud of what I've achieved in boxing. You know what I mean? And like I say, anyone ever pulls me down or slags me off, they don't know me as a person because I've done it all off my own back, and I'm very proud of that.
I want to say two things before we leave. Right, the first one is. Well, I want to say three things. The first is, do you guys stay in regular contact?
Yeah, we speak regularly.
So we don't, right? No. We haven't. But I just want to say, from the distance, within boxing, there's a lot of things you see at the front and lots of things you see at the back. I've been watching for a very long time. And so it's been a privilege today to come and see after 25 years. And see all, see how it all's come.
I had my first ever fight in 1989. I turned pro in 96. Retired in 2005. I went into training and managing, and then I got my promoter's license 2007. We're now in 2024.
Wow.
I've had every champion going. I promoted 155 shows. I've managed probably I can't off the top of my head, probably 300 fighters in that time. You know what I mean? It's been an unbelievable story, an unbelievable career. And it's not over. No, it's not over.
It's not over. And the other thing I wanted to ask you, I was supposed to ask you in the middle of the podcast, what was it like having a fight go up against Terence Crawford?
That's what I mean. I've had a fight. David Avenesian go up against pound for pound #1 in the world.
Because he's a good
going to Terence Crawford's hometown, Omaha. You know what I mean? Very daunting. Can honestly say hand on heart, no respect at all for Crawford's team.
Yeah.
Obviously, as a fighter, Crawford's phenomenal, but no respect for him, for how they treated us and how they conducted themselves. The incident with the gloves, we'll never know the ins and outs of the story, but my honest opinion is them gloves was tampered with, and the padding was took out.
You're going to get that in boxing shows. You're going to box abroad. They're going to start
and it looks like he's going to get away with it. But sorry,
I think you could have done that against Errol Spence as well.
I don't think so, because they'd have been on the ball more. You know what I mean? But they were just crazy how they wouldn't let us touch the gloves. They went straight off to their commission, their local commission, and it turns out 3 or 4 of them guys are their local commission trains at the gym with him. You know what I mean? It stinks.
Inside
you know
job,
what I mean? And that's one thing that really hurts me, really, because David was in that fight. When the referee finally spotted there were no padding in them gloves, they split open basically. They should have been took off there and then. They let them carry on, and that's when Crawford put his foot down and knew he had to get him out of there. You know what I mean? And he did. But no, that's one thing. That's one thing that really hurts, that fight. But listen, the story that me, David, and obviously Neil Marsh, David's manager, has got is unbelievable. The career that David's had, from coming over here as a bit of a nobody in 2015 to going on to being a big name over here, a fighter that's nothing to do with England, you know what I mean, but just got an English trainer, English manager, you know what I mean, 5 times European champion. We got the
you know what, I was about to look at that.
I mean, obviously beating Josh Kelly was a big win, and he was you know what I mean, underdog in that fight, and been all over the world, you know what I mean. We started off in Monte Carlo, we've been to Omaha, Nebraska, Cincinnati, Bilbao twice, beating Kerman Lujaraga, who was 24-0 with 21 knockouts in front of 10,000 hostile Bilbao fans. I mean, nothing will ever daunt me. Nothing will ever faze me in boxing, because I've been through it all. You know what I mean? Been through it all, and this is why it makes me a stronger person.
It seems like you're a good manager, because like you're getting experience from your experience from the past, where you're not going to bring it on to your fight. Just like you have a kid, you ain't going to bring your kid up the same way your father brought you up.
No.
Definitely.
You know, you're going to try and learn from where you've learned.
You're right, Don.
And try and bring your kid up better. So it's the same way in the boxing.
You learn. It's all about learning. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's good, man. Respect.
Just like you said in the middle of the podcast, it's not about losing. It's about learning.
You don't lose, you learn.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
So we'll end it with this. So the next person who's coming on the podcast, we don't know who that is yet, but we're going to leave a question for the next person. You're going to leave a question for the next person. What is the question that you want to leave for the next person?
This next person, I want to say to her, what are you going to do to your next opponent?
Okay, we'll leave it there.
Nice one.
Guys, thanks for tuning into the 13th for Final Round podcast. Don't forget to like, share and comment.
And press the notification button and tell a friend, and we're here.
Make sure you hit the notification bell. We're here.
And we're out.